Hey guys, it's Matt from MTG Box Breaks, and I kind of wanted to follow up on something from yesterday when I was opening my Eternal Masters box. And if you watched that video, you noticed that a lot of you mentioned that a lot of the blue cards were faded out, much like this Brainstorm. Now, obviously, you don't have a comparison for it, but it's faded. Okay. Now, let me look at. Let me just show you the rest of these. Now these colors just don't pop like they should. And so to prove it, I have an actual daze that looks properly printed. And you can kind of see why a lot of it's clear that a lot of these just for some reason don't have any color. So initially when I was going through this, the easiest ones to pick out were the blue ones, just because they look essentially gray in comparison to the normal blue cards. So, it was easy to pull out all the blue ones here. We have about 9 different ones, that I initially pulled out, going back through them. And so I was like, maybe this extends to not just the blue uncommons, because it seems strange if you just blue. So I actually went back, and I noticed that it actually extended to other cards. So I have Cabal Therapy, Ancestral Mask, Guidance Blessing, Wyvern, Predator, We Dragonauts, this Artifact, which we'll talk about a little bit, and even the land. So I'll show you some kind of comparisons for the Cabal Therapy. The one on the right is the one that's faded out, so it's kind of clear you can see, what that a lot of these cards are faded out. So it's the Cabal Therapy. Let's look at the Ancestral Mask. See, just that green doesn't just pop as much. So big difference there. And then even on the multicolor cards, it's a little bit hard to tell, but if you could kind of compare the mana symbols, if you guys could see that. The Wyvern's a little bit lighter. I think the Trigon Predator is a little bit easier to see. So, unfortunately, I only got one of these cards, so I can't really compare them. But one of the interesting thing is actually the artifact. So, the one on the right here is the one that is washed out. And so, looking at it, side by side, they are very similar. I mean, it is an artifact. They already are kind of devoid of a lot of color. But the weird thing is, look at the pages on the one on the right. Can I see there? There's it's like a purplish light pink color. And on this one, which is the correct printing of it, it's blue. So kind of interesting on that one. I had to really look at that one to tell the difference. And then also, one that I don't have any comparison for, unfortunately, is this Mishra's Factory. So, once again, a lot of dark colors, so it's already kind of hard to see the colors washed out. But the big difference is you can hardly make out kind of the circle around the colorless mana symbols, and it's the outline's not even there almost. I mean, here's a good angle of it. It's just not there. So, in a way, this is kind of this is cool. I mean, it's not something every day that you see kind of cards washed out like this. But, so you kind of got, maybe look at what I opened yesterday a lot more in detail, as I was going through everything. And so I actually noticed more printing errors that are different. So here's one that's pretty common, that I've seen a lot before. Let's see if we can get in focus. You can kind of see right there. So the top of this Siege Gang Commander is crimped. And the entire way. So, you can imagine if this was some sort of mythic, and you have a crimped mythic. That would be pretty sad to open. And not everyone knows that you can send stuff like this in to get a replacement. So, for a lot of people, it's kind of sad that these printer errors keep popping up. The one that I had before, the fade, that doesn't affect the tournament playability of this. But something like this would. You wouldn't be able to play this because you could maybe reasonably feel the difference on this card See if anything on the back. Yeah, you can see it on the back as well. So you won't be able to play this in a DCI sponsored tournament. So this is not the last error. I actually had another one, and this one took me a little bit longer to find. So we have a Jace the Mind Sculptor. So yeah, color's fine for the most part. As far as I can tell, it doesn't look washed. I don't have another Jace to compare it to. But the big difference is, and if I could maybe hopefully zoom in on this. Come on. So the copyright and all that down here, now picking up the reflection on the camera because I got this in a perfect fit, it's kind of muddled. Not as clear, and even the name on here is not as clear. So what I did is I grabbed another blue card. I have a Mystical Tutor that I opened in the box. And you can clearly see it's night and day between some of the printing at the bottom. Now, obviously, that's not that big of a deal. You'll still be able to play this. And for the most part, it looks like the printing on this, I can't really tell, any real difference in any other printings that are slightly off. It's probably just easiest because you're using, there's black and white ink down here. So right there we have in just one box. These are all the same cards that we opened up in the box yesterday. We have 3 different printing errors. In addition, I've heard some stories where some of the foils have been a little bit dinged up and less than near mint quality coming out of the pack. I looked through my foils, couldn't find anything that looked that bad. So it's right there. That's 4 different printing errors if you include the one with the foils in Eternal Masters, and that's just that I know of right now. I mean, there could possibly be others. These are kind of I guess the more common ones that I've seen in the past. Going back to Origins, you had the ones where essentially you had 3 cards right next to each other, and you'd have a blotch that would go across all 3 if you laid them out like this. So I haven't seen anything like that, but it's just kind of unfortunate because when you pay $240 for a box of Magic cards, you'd at least expect them to be in somewhat good quality. Now, besides the Jace error, cards crimping and then cards not being properly colored, that is kind of disappointing. So I really hope that whoever's in charge of Q&A for the printing of this material, I hope someone has a talk with them, because this is 13 different cards in here had errors. Actually 17 different uncommons in my box. So that's slightly less than 6 packs had essentially errors in the cards. Now some of them are not as noticeable, like I mentioned, with some of the multicolored cards, but then some of these greens, especially like this Guy's Blessing, just not as vibrant. Could be pretty disappointing. And if you're someone who likes to have 4 of each card, well, chances are you finding 3 other miscolored Brainstorms or Days. Probably not going to happen. So if you want to keep all your cards kind of uniform, kind of disappointing to get something like this. So just want to let you guys be aware, and hopefully this is something that Wizards will correct in future sets. I'm sure Eldritch Moon has already been printed, but it seems to be happening with a lot of these special sets, your Modern Masters and then this Eternal Masters. So I'm get started about from the Vault sets with their foiling, but so all right, that's all for today, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that video, and